Lara Heimann is an international yoga pioneer and physical therapist. She's focused on evolving the practice of yoga to empower movement and balance. She is the creator of Lit Yoga. Welcome to the show, Lara.
Thank you so much for having me, George.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Tell us a little about your personal lives, more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Well, my personal life is I'm at this beautiful juncture where I have two children who are in college. One's about to graduate. I've created this online platform. I've created a career path that was very alternative in many ways. I graduated from physical therapy school and then went and got some specialization in that and worked in a clinic while I was also teaching fitness and eventually teaching yoga, and just started to see that there was like a lot of crossover that was and missed opportunity for people who were practicing yoga, getting the education that we provide in physical therapy, and people who were going to physical therapy, maybe getting them more knowledgeable before they would have to have PT. It just all these different interests of mine and kind of merged. So that's where I'm at now. I've created my own, um, yeah, my own journey, and I've been my own boss now for over 25 years. It's been really wonderful, and yeah, having a great time with life. Love educating people.
I appreciate that. So, yoga is in, I know I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about yoga. I have a deep respect for it and practice it occasionally. Certainly a combination of it's it can be extremely physically difficult and challenging, but very, very, very technical. There's also the spiritual side to it. So you're bringing together a lot of those elements.
Yes, and my company is called Lit Yoga. Lit is an acronym. Being a medical person, we love acronyms. It stands for Lara's Yoga Technique, but really it's the onomatopoeia of like wanting to feel lit up. Like when you wake up in the morning, what is lighting you up? What is fueling you so that you have some excitement for the day and find joy in your life. And it's really a challenge to feel that way when you are injured, mentally or physically drained, um, and etc. So the body and the brain are very much important. And with yoga, really, it's just saying wherever you are in your life, you don't have to like sit and meditate, but can you direct your focus to pay attention to the way you move, the way you breathe, the way you stand, the way you talk to yourself, perhaps, or all of this internal things so that you can use the practice as a way of directing your life in the way in the way you want it to be. If you are, we our focus is so fragmented in our daily life now. So if anything, just think of yoga as a practice of bringing attention to the present moment, which really is what keeps us harmonized. It's hard to do. We're never going to be there all the time. But through the body, which is always present, we're sitting here talking, we're present in our body. Our body might have some memories of what we did yesterday, of things that happened 30 years ago, but it's very present. It's not thinking about the next thing that's going to happen. And so getting into your body and experiencing sensation, that to me is the practice of yoga. It doesn't have to be anything more quote unquote spiritual than that, but it allows you to bring in whatever you want and therefore to get more out of it.
I love the fact that our bodies are always present. It's
Mm.
such a beautifully simple thing, but it's so true.
It's so true. And in yoga, you might have heard, or in other practices, there are these compartmentalization of like, I'm going to practice a spiritual form, I'm going to practice a physical form. It's like they're all connected because our physical body is what carries everything. It carries our emotions, our sensations, our histories. Um, and it really gives us data about where we are and how well we're doing in taking care of ourselves, and we can look at that and observe that, and that's the practice I like to teach, while educating people about their body, because very few people got any education about their body, so it's um, this practice that makes you feel more informed, and also getting that data means you can do something about it versus just judging it or claiming, I'm just getting old or etc.
I love that as well. It is certainly keeping score. It is telling me how my diet has been over the past 46 years or 2
Mhm.
months. It's telling me if I've been stretching or if I've been sitting at my desk the wrong way or whatever. It is
Right.
it is telling me all this wonderful information.
Yes, it really is. And that's really what we do in Lit is we take pretty what might seem like difficult concepts about biomechanics or understanding functional anatomy and really distill it because I believe everyone deserves to know that. And that's really why I came to create this is I just felt like you shouldn't wait until you're injured to come and learn about, well, this happened perhaps because of, overuse, and we need to do, whatever. There's so much that can be served up to people in very palatable, digestible ways that gives them and it really helps them feel empowered, that we don't always have to wait until we're injured or something's not feeling great and then go to somebody like me, like PT or doctor, but we can learn about it. And so we teach that a lot in Lit, like what are, how do you hold yourself during the day? Why does posture matter? It looks great, but it's really important for your breathing, for your digestion, for your nervous system regulation. It's all the parts that we need to feel that, like when I was talking about waking up and feeling some excitement and joy and fuel. Well, you can do that when you start to understand and feel at home in your body.
What a horrible thing to feel like you're not at home in your body, but I bet that's a lot of people.
Oh, yes. The number of people, and a lot of it is at a subconscious level. It's this. I mean, if people, when people tell me the things they think about their body, I think, would you say that to your best friend? No, this is your best friend. It's holding you. It's taking you through life. It's helping you discover and explore. And when it speaks to you, it has a different language. That language is sensation, it could be discomfort, it could be, and instead of blocking it or naming it something or blaming, let's learn how to better communicate and take that communication that our body gives us as like, how lucky are we that we get that communication, even if we've kind of dulled it or blocked it for a while because we've been too busy in our daily lives. And, when we start to ignore something, the brain details that that's not important. So it kind of puts it aside. But yeah, a lot of people feel they don't feel at home in their bodies because if you don't feel like have you have command or organization, in the space of your body, it's disconcerting for a lot of people. Something happens and then Google it, and then it's like go down a train, and it's like, well, so I was leading a retreat last week, and someone came up on like the fourth day, and they're like, I don't know what I did, but it's something is, and I said, it's gonna be fine. Just breathe and let's move. It's just this reaction. Something feels painful or something feels discomfort for a moment, and you immediately not everybody, but often they'll feel like something is wrong. What's my body's failing me or something. And it's just learn that your body is really working with you if you give it the tools to do so. And that's again what we try and do through the education is understanding more about movement, biomechanics, why we need to move. We're built to move. We have these big synovial joints that refurbish the this beautiful WD-40 that we create on our own called synovial fluid, but we got to move to do it. And that isn't the coolest thing. It's like being a little bit more in awe of this body as opposed to always knocking it down, which I think culturally sometimes happens.
Try to keep up, body. Stupid body.
Yeah, like, oh, overweight body, tired body, this body, menopausal body. It's like on and on and on. You can find so many reasons to dislike. And I want to say, gosh, what we are so lucky. And some of that comes from having worked with very, very, um, people that had like their life changed, whether it was a massive stroke or a brain injury or anything, and like they no longer have that privilege. And that is to me like I would walk out of a clinic and be like, I will never take for granted that this body is taking me through space. My husband and I just got back from a 6 week adventure in Spain and Morocco, and we were walking, 25 to 35,000 steps a day. And it never once occurred to me, I'm not going to be able to do this, right? But on the other hand, I'm so grateful to do this. And that's where you set yourself up that your body, your mind, your spirit is all working in a more harmonized state. It's never going to be like we don't get there. It's not like a perfect place, but how do we find balance? And that again, that's what yoga is. It's raising consciousness and awareness so that you can have more balance in the way that you move, the way you behave, the way you speak.
And so I agree with everything you said, and it's not obvious that I would understand that if I'd never thought about it. It's not obvious that I understand stretching. It's not obvious that I understand the biomechanics and the synovial fluid and all that stuff. So why would I have an appreciation for it? And if I am just in the habit of disregarding my body or trying to work around it or whatever, then that's just what I do. And why would I know any different kind of a thing? So you, and correct me where I'm wrong, with your background in 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 physiology and physical therapy and all of those modalities and your passion for yoga, you said, oh, you know what? I think we can bring these things together and help people to accomplish several things in one space, one time.
Yeah, so when I was teaching yoga separately, kind of in its own lane, and then working in physical therapy and rehab, neurological type of work with neurologically impaired clients, I really kept them in separate lanes. But then I started to see there were missing pieces. And one was that when people would come and practice yoga, they're bringing in their existing habits and yes, movement is always going to make you feel better. But I thought, well, why can't we use this as an opportunity to learn how to better prime our body for better movement habits? And that really comes from my background in neurology and understanding like the developmental. If you have a kid or you've ever seen a kid, from the time they come out of the womb to the time that they're bipedal, they go through what's called the developmental stages. And those developmental stages are developing our brain, they're developing our movement patterns, developing coordination, really processing and convergence of the eye, all these amazing things that we just take for granted. And we're developing our deep muscles that support the spine, support the ribs and pelvis. And we call those the core muscles. So it's not just your abdominals, it's everything that supports the center of your body. And you have to develop those from being a floppy baby, barely being able to lift your head, to being able to come up and move around. Then we become bipedal, and then we get to school where we limit our movement variability. And with that, we feel tight, like, oh, I'm tighter, uh, imbalanced, weakness. A lot of it comes back to how do we reestablish that development, that neutral spine, it's called neutral pelvis, where your hips neutral just means balance. So if I'm sitting in a chair all day and I round forward, my pelvis is tipping back, my shoulders are round. Well, that impacts not only the way I feel and breathe and my energy. When I go to move in yoga, I'm taking this to some degree with me. So if I try and stand up, my body has figured out if I stand up and I thrust my ribs forward, that'll get me upright. But that's just moving, it's borrowing movement from one area when you have limited another. So that there's a lot. The point is that people were coming, and I thought, let me use this as a time to reestablish this connection to postural training and breathing. So we call it the reset in lit. It's like 5 to 15 minutes. You do get on the ground just as we did, and we do some developmental work to better prime ourselves for bigger movement And I brought that into my yoga practice, which at first seemed a little odd, but to me it was like such an enhancement. And now people love it. They learn about themselves. They they change the story that they had. Oh, I'm really tight. I could never touch my toes. Who cares if you touch your toes? How about how you do it and why you're moving at the hips to do it, because that's what the hips are designed to do. And how to be actually integrated. That's a better thing than, muscle bound strong. Have both, but really it's got to be from that balanced place. So just teaching people, from every class is information that's, like I said, digestible, about how they can improve the movement, um, and the connection to themselves and understanding body and movement.
Well, that all sounds really good and valuable. If I don't have any experience moving my body, doing yoga, can I still do this?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're speaking in non, I literally would say, okay, George, lie down on your back, see if you can get the back of your skull on the floor, bend your knees, feet are flat on the floor, and now press your back ribs. So that's the area beneath your shoulder blades or scapula. Can you press them into the floor and then lift your hips up a little bit? That's called a low bridge. It's it's language that's that simple, but I'm going to specifically tell you how to do it. Because if I just said you came into class, all right, everybody lift into bridge. Well, you're going to do it in the way you can because our bodies are super smart. We will execute a movement in by mimicking it, whatever, but we're going to do it in the way that we can. So we will compensate, we'll create, we'll further the imbalance where we're going to just tell you exactly like the what to do in that, and make it so it'll feel different. We're not saying just lift into bridge, George. We're going to tell you like why we want you to. Well, this helps stabilize your rib cage so you can really get into your glutes. Because guess what? Most people, they have weak glutes. And it has nothing to do with that they're weak. It just positionally, um, they haven't been put on the same demand and that they want to be. I mean, our glutes again could work for us for hours on end. We just have to put them in the position to really, use that instead of using the back or overusing the hamstrings.
Nice. I love it. So I'm curious just about your entrepreneurial journey briefly. Certainly, it's one thing to do individually all the things that you've done, and then to really kind of pioneer this new method, and that's a really impressive thing all on its own. But then to make it a commercially viable enterprise, I'm sure that it wasn't a straight line. I'm sure that you had a lot of setbacks in every area. How are you able to just keep moving and overcoming obstacles?
I say I was an accidental entrepreneur, so that has helped me because I always feel like a beginner. I'm learning. I ask questions. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to, appear like I don't know what I'm doing because I don't. I really have learned. I've looked where there was a need and I filled that need. So I was working out of my house. I had a great business model there. I had 10 people coming at a time, small classes and then privates, and that would have been amazing. But I just felt like more people deserve to understand this because the people that were coming to me. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to do a teacher training so teachers understand this because there's many yoga teachers who have very little, functional anatomy, understanding biomechanics. They can call out the poses, they might, but it's not empowering for them to not understand how to help somebody or to look at the way different people move. And it's not inclusive if you can't do that. So I created teacher training, and then I was like, well, I got to open up a studio. So I just kind of followed the path where everything, and more importantly, just ask, and I'm every day I'll ask the questions. I have meetings, and I, I'm a beginner's mind for sure because this is still, even though I am an entrepreneur, have been doing it a while. I don't think of myself as an expert at all. I'm just learning and, um, asking questions.
Love it. Well, Laura, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for everything that you're working on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they engage with you and Lit Yoga?
Go to the website, lityoga.com, LYT yoga.com, and there's all kinds of things on there. It's like we have a blog, we have a podcast, we have, uh, teacher trainings, and then of course the online studio. And the online studio is called the Lit Daily, and it is really robust. It's very well organized. I would love to offer your listeners a special discount so you can try it because it's good to get into something and have that open mind. Maybe at first you're like, this is way too hard, and that's we default so quickly. So like, stay with something. If it's hard, it probably means you need to be doing it, because we all need to be challenged. That's where we grow. So 5 weeks for $5, and you could just use the code Move Better, and I'll give you the link for that. And then find me on Instagram. I'm Lara.Heimann or Lit Method. And please reach out, ask any questions. I love engaging with people. I love hearing about your journey and where you feel confused or a little lost in any ways, whether it's your menopausal and you're starting to have frozen shoulder, or you have low back, chronic pain. All of those, everything is improvable. Please believe that. Our bodies are really working for us. We just have to give our bodies and our brains the information and tools and the practice to create that better balance, and alignment. And alignment is like aligning in life too, how you're taking care of yourself, how you're moving, and just wanting everybody to feel more lit up.
Love it. Well, if you enjoyed as much as I did, show Laura your appreciation. Share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to lytyoga.com. It's lityoga.com. And check out all the great resources. Listen to the podcast. Check out some of the videos that are on there. Laura, take advantage of her offer for 5 weeks for $5 using the code MOVEBETTER. And you can find out more about her on Instagram as well. So check out all of those resources. And I loved everything we talked about today. So everything is, in fact, improvable. We just need to start moving towards that. So thanks again, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me, George.
Until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.